How's it going? I'm Daniel Luca Parenti. Welcome back to The Professional Musician. I'm so happy and honored to have Mr. Ed McClary with McClary Music here in the studio today. He is going to share with us his story about being a musician. He's a fantastic drummer here in the San Francisco Bay Area, but also one of the biggest music contractors here in the area as well. And he's going to share some information about what it's like to be a contractor and what he looks for in musicians as a contractor and how he goes after clients. And yeah, so I would like to start with this question first.
All right.
How did you get started in music?
It had to do with a woman. I was 15 and I was playing in a club because I played at this club accidentally. My girlfriend's name was Michelle, and we'd gone down to this roller rink where this band was playing, and the drummer didn't show up. And the guitar player says, is there anybody out there that can play drums? And Michelle pushes me forward up toward the guitar player. She says, he can play. Up to this point, I'd only played in a marching band.
Wow.
And the guitar player says, he says, what do you play? And I said, he says, what do you know how to play? I said, I know how to play Wipeout. He says, sit down. That's how it happened.
No kidding.
So I sat down, and I knew it, and I played Wipeout like on a field snare with the marching band, but I'd never actually played any drum set. So I sat down and I started playing Wipeout, and the band starts playing, and I'm playing, and I'm playing the little drum solos in Wipeout, and I look up and I see all these 15-year-old girls standing in front of me, and they're all going, oh, Eddie, oh, Eddie. And I remember saying to myself, I'm going to do this the rest of my life.
Wow.
And then it began.
And then, as I recall, you played in the service, right?
I did. I was in the Navy band, and I did that for 4 years and toured the eastern seaboard of the United States and most of Europe during that 4-year period, and learned how to read music and to play big band and swing and funk and blues and rock, and I learned 1,000 standards and started doing that.
Okay, and then when did you come to the Bay Area?
I moved to San Francisco in 1975.
Okay.
And I moved here after the Navy to go to school and went to San Francisco State University, where I studied music and recording and got a bachelor's in performance and a minor in broadcast, which is the recording portion of it.
Interesting. Wow. See, I'm learning this stuff today.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so then going to our topic of the day, when did music for you transition into contracting?
Well, again, it was a woman, Dan. And her name was Ashley.
Okay.
Okay, so far it's Michelle and Ashley have been guiding my career and my life.
We're going to keep track
I was
here.
performing at the St. Francis Yacht Club in San Francisco, playing at a wedding. And Ashley was the catering director for the yacht club. Mm-hmm. So I met Ashley when I was performing at this wedding there, and asked her out on a date, and we're out on the date, and we're talking about what I did at the yacht club and what she does, and she books wedding bands and weddings, and she's the one who manages all of that. Mm-hmm. So she said, Ed, she says, you could put a band together for us. You could put a band together for a wedding for us, couldn't you? And I said, well, sure. I said, I've got friends. I said, we all play weddings all the time. I said, it'd be easy to do.
Sure.
So I started putting wedding bands together and performing at the St. Francis Yacht Club. And that led to other clients and other referrals. And as long as it was successful, which I continued to be successful, I kept getting new clients, and that has grown into the business that I have now.
Great. And your business again is called?
McClary Music.
McClary Music.
Call us.
Yeah. And what does McClary Music specialize in now?
Well, I have a couple of different things, but I'm very specific. I was able to come up with a niche client, which is building management groups. If you don't know what a building management group is, that is these are organizations that manage corporate office buildings. So these high-rise 20 and 30-story office buildings that are all over the planet. And what these building managers do is they provide tenant appreciation via music for their clients. They'll have a barbecue, they'll have an ice cream social, they will have the atmosphere of music in their lobby during the holidays. Mm-hmm. And I am the person who provides the atmosphere. I mean, basically I sell air. But
In a can.
If you'd like it in a can, I'm sure we could provide.
Tell us a little bit about how you build your clientele. You told us about how you have found a nice little niche with office management companies. So, as a musician, how do you find the courage to go and find these clients? What's your process? What do you do? What do you think about? And once you get them, and this is probably the loaded question here, is how do you maintain that? How do you maintain those clients? How do you keep that pipeline coming in?
Okay. Well, we should probably back up just a little bit to what inspired finding the building management clients, these people. As many of us, as performers, we're always struggling to find a gig. We can't get enough gigs to feed ourselves, feed our family, pay the rent, pay the insurance, etc. So we're always looking for a gig. We live from gig to gig to gig. It's a hard life doing that. And so always our goal is to find gigs that are the best paying and that are going to repeat themselves. So the way my business started was I was a building manager of a residential property in San Francisco. And one night I had an epiphany, basically, that was about thinking, I was thinking about that I needed a gig. I didn't know who to call. The calls I was making to my musician friends wasn't helping. I was not getting enough work. I tried calling producers and people and contractors, and they have the people that they use, and they like working with them, so they stick to those people, and they consistently call the same people. So I needed a gig, is really what happened here. And out of my desperation for needing a gig, I had this epiphany that if I were to call other building managers, who I referred to as my mentors and my peers, even though I was managing this little apartment house in San Francisco, if I called a building manager that had a budget and I told them that I could provide them with holiday music, that I'd automatically get myself a gig. So I created the client. I didn't wait for the client to come to me. I created my own client. Clients are all over the place. There's everybody that I know loves music. I don't care if they're rich, if they're poor, if they live in a shack, or if they're living in the towers at corporate office buildings. Everybody likes entertainment in the same way. It brings them calm. It's a point of celebration. Music inspires you to be more alive all the time. Yeah. We always look forward to going back and hearing a song that we all know. We look forward to hearing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and having it remind us of the holidays and our families. So with that in mind, I had actually heard Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on the radio in the middle of the night, and it made me think about my tenants and how much I wanted them to feel all the emotion and inspiration that I felt about my family and my life by just hearing this simple song by Gene Autry.
Sure.
And so that inspired the idea of I just called these other building managers who have a budget. I'll call them up. I'll put a band together. We're going to go play to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer for them. And they'll not only love it and feel the same feeling I'm feeling, they'll also pay me money.
What about the ones that said no?
The ones that said no.
How did you process that?
Well, in the first few years, it was challenging. I don't like hearing no.
Sure.
It was difficult because then I would feel like I would have all these feelings of guilt and regret, and the feelings of guilt and regret would have to do with I'm charging too much money. I should charge less for how I value myself. Because them saying no is a reflection personally upon me.
Sure.
And that's how I took it. I learned that was not the truth. That their opinion is their opinion, my opinion is my opinion. And that the most valuable thing that I have is me.
Sure.
That whatever I determine my value at, that is my value. And if somebody can't afford it, this is not the right person to go to. These people just don't know me yet.
Right.
I truly mean that.
Yeah.
I think if there is an opportunity and I'm able to present myself to them as a drummer, as a person, as a business associate, that once they experience that with me, they're going to value me, my time, my talent, and everything that I have to offer them. I'm assuming that they're going to want to do the same thing with me. I value them. I value their time. I value their talent, regardless of what it is. It doesn't matter if they're a building manager, if they're a janitor, if they're a bass player. Whatever. It's kind of all the same for me.
Yeah.
So it's about valuing myself first, because my opinion of myself is the thing that matters the most. What somebody else says about me, it matters to them, I'm presuming, but I have nothing to say about their opinion. It's their opinion, not mine.
Very good.
So number one is to value myself.
Yeah.
Decide what that value is worth on many levels. Personally, financially, physically, all the things that we're all affected by every day.
So now that you've built your clientele,
Yep.
how do you maintain it? Because that's something I think as musicians, as artists, first of all, we don't even think about people as clients. And that's an interesting concept that in itself. But how do you maintain it? How do you keep them coming back?
The most important thing I've learned in doing my business, and the thing that really clinches the gig and gets the gig, is calling them back. You got to call people back. You must have follow through on everything that you do. If you don't have follow through, they're not going to remember you. They're busy in their lives. They're busy getting the air conditioning fixed in their building. They're busy dealing with somebody who's having a problem with their parking place. They're dealing with whatever their relationship is at their home. They're dealing with their whole life, and it's not that they don't like you. They just forget. They just don't make you a priority. Mm-hmm. I am there to help them to remember. Right. And when I say help, I mean call them up without being pushy about it, but reminding them, helping them to remember why we're doing this.
Sure. Yeah.
So the callback is the most important thing.
When you're getting ready to fulfill a contract, what is it that you look for in musicians? Knowing that you're not going to be there on the gig, you're not going to be able to supervise, what does it take for you to feel comfortable contracting a musician?
Well, a couple of different attitudes about this. One is that I only hire musicians that I have played with and know personally, or that musicians that I've worked with that they know them personally and have worked with them personally. The most wonderful thing about musicians is that they are the most trustworthy, on-time the people that I have come across. They're honorable people. And the reason they're honorable is pretty obvious. They're desperate. They're desperate because they work from gig to gig. Yeah. And so they can't show up for a gig late. They can't be on the gig and have a bad attitude because they're not going to get hired again. And so they don't want to goof this thing up. They want respect and regard from everyone that they make music with and make music for, so that the contractor, whoever it is, me or anybody else, is going to want to have them back. It's always important that you know how to play your instrument as well as possible. That's what gets the attention of your other musicians that you work with. Oh, he's a great player. He plays great rock. He plays great funk. He's a great straight-ahead player. Whatever it is, you learn all those things about the person, and you have that in your back pocket. But you also know this guy was really fun to make music with. He never complained about stuff on the gig. He never went and jumped in the buffet line before he was supposed to. He showed up on time. He looked good. He didn't complain. And those things are just as important as being a good player. Mm-hmm. It's expected that you did your homework and that you're a good player. If you didn't do that, you didn't get the call in the first place. Mm-hmm. But you also have to show up, and you have to really show up as a person and be a good person and work with others well. It's really valuable to do that.
Tell me about some of the common mistakes that musicians make.
I'll just go from a personal place of where I've been, because I've been playing drums for 57 years. Long time playing music with lots and lots of different people. And I didn't always have the level of confidence in my playing that I have now. Mm-hmm. And so I would feel like I wasn't always as good as the other players in the band, and I would feel like I wasn't as prepared as I should have been. And I would remember leaving the gig and sort of feeling embarrassed. Mm-hmm. I had no reason to feel that way other than it's how I was talking to myself. That was the conversation I kept having with myself. In doing so, I would be afraid to pursue playing with these players again because I was embarrassed about how I played. And then I would do that, and then of course I would go through that experience, and then I would have regret that I didn't pursue it, that I was good enough. And even if I wasn't good enough, what am I sitting here for? Why aren't I out there pursuing getting the gig?
Right.
So I had to get past my own regret. I think that musicians as a whole are very sensitive people. I think that they feel every time that they play their instrument that they feel exposed to the audience and to the other musicians, and that they're exposing their soul in whatever way they are. The ones that do it with confidence and with the attitude of sharing what they know are the ones that succeed the most. That you can be an incredible player but not like yourself very much and therefore not succeed. Only because you're down on yourself, because you're having regret about whatever it is in your life that's allowing you to maintain this ridiculous attitude of not loving yourself. So I would say that that the biggest detriment is people not believing in themselves. I know lots of super talented people that don't want to expose themselves because they always come up with an excuse. The excuse is, I'm not good enough. The excuse is, I'm too good to play with these people. The excuse is that I should be paying more for what I do. I'm not regarded or respected, otherwise I'd be making more money. I know a guy he can't hardly play at all and he's a huge success. But they're giving them reasons why they can't succeed themselves. I don't know if it's fear of success or fear of failure, but nonetheless it's fear-based. Where if the belief is that I can do anything, that I can't make a mistake, and that all mistakes will only bring me to learning and growing and to being a better person and a better player. With that belief, you can't make a mistake. You can't go wrong. You will succeed. You are succeeding the moment you believe that.
Anything else that you would like to share from your own personal experience in this business? Anything at all that you can think of, things that to do, things not to do, anything off the top of your head?
The first thing that comes to mind is just don't be afraid to make the call. Don't be afraid to call anybody and expose yourself and ask for anything that you want. If you want a gig, call up the guy you want to play with and tell him you want to play with him. Tell him you make yourself available. I'll do whatever you want. I just want an opportunity to play with you. You'll get the gig. It'll happen. It might not happen that second, but it'll come around and it will happen. If you call up a client who you want to book music in for them, and you want to go play for them because they have money and they have a space and they have everything that you want in terms of what you need to go and play, call them up. The worst that's going to happen is they're going to say no. That will be the absolute worst. They'll just say no. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be another client. My gift is to be able to share my talents of getting the gigs, playing the gigs, and having more people hear live music. That's why I'm here.
That's great, Ed. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. It was an honor to have you here in the studio.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
It was inspiring for me.
Cool.
So thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you again for joining us as the Professional Musician.
Yeah.
I'm Daniel Luca Parenti. This is Ed McClary with McClary Music.
Good luck, everyone.
And we'll see you next time.